Yes.
Banner making is
Everyone,
my favorite thing in Minecraft. Okay.
Everyone, I got the bot to work. Anyway, welcome YouTube to Zero's Political Hellscape Report Debates 4. This topic we'll be focusing on political unity. What leftist unity, right-wing unity, libertarian unity, authoritarian unity, and something like that. Who wants to start?
Immigrants.
I will, if you want. I mean,
yeah, sure.
I mean,
what is your opinion?
Left and what?
here's the thing though, like, I, as a radical libertarian, believe that libertarians should like band together because authoritarians are like the big gay. Like, go together to like get rid of the big gay.
I mean, I see your problem. I think our economic differences will be really hard for us
Well,
to
that's the thing,
decide.
though. Like, it's one of those things where it's like if we get rid of like the state, then we can actually test different economical ideas with voluntarily, so that way we can like, hey, best one wins, you know?
We'll all become mutualists, though. I'm kidding. I don't care. I mean, if I'll live in a mutualist society.
By the way, no offense to any status in the chat thingy, whatever it is. This is.
We have four status actually, and
well, hey, can I talk? Okay, who are they? Just so I know, and like, what do they think, and all that stuff.
Is conservative, chink, cosmonaut, GI, and LI7.
What?
So we have conservative, centrist, libertarian centrist, clerical fascist, and cultural nationalist.
Wait, quick question: is clerical fascism like theocratic stuff?
Hey, GI, you're being asked a question. Hey, GI, you're being asked a question.
Oh, sorry, I was taking a piss.
Okay.
Let the man take his piss.
Okay. Anyway.
What do you want?
I was just wondering, what clerical fascism is. Is that like fascism but more theocratical?
It's like it's more traditional.
Ah, like Roman type stuff.
Yes, for the church.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think if anything, the most likely thing would be leftist unity, and the least likely would be libertarian unity, because I think again the economic.
Well, no, actually, I think authoritarian unity would be way different. Be way harder. I completely.
Well,
disagree.
That wasn't even in the question. That was out of the question.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I've already talked a lot about that leftist unity stuff. It's like every single time that's happened, it ended in genocide. So
hey, that's pretty cool.
It is true. Most,
of course, you're the one saying that.
Socialist systems,
yeah, like
ended up in genocide. Very true.
Yeah, it's like rip Nestor Makhno. So like, yeah, we need to learn from this mistake. And
it's Trotsky is the dumb.
Just look at Pol Pot.
But like, it's even like, I mean, honestly, like Bolsheviks are just glorified Nazbols. So.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna ask Oddson if he can join.
Should we try to add any more people?
Well, here are my argument for as conservative. I do believe in some type of government, but a smaller one. You don't need that big of a state for unity. I mean, but you need still something for people to rally behind. So that is my argument for conservative unity. Too big of a state, and people are going to, they're going to unite against the government, which isn't usually a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And with a too small of one, you aren't simply going to have anything to unify with.
Well, I mean, you can have I think there are other things you can rally behind even if you don't have a state. Like, for example, I'm actually a neo-Confederate, so I rally behind, like, you know, Southern culture, stuff like that, and that works.
Don't ask how that works.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of people here. What's up?
Oh, we're talking about political unity, like different political things. I think I already know your stance on it, Logan. That's dumb.
Logan Paul.
That's just
the Logan Paulers and Paulers just need to unite.
Funny joke.
I think it's pretty unrealistic for both sides because of extremists, and I don't think it's necessarily a thing to aim for.
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, that's cool, but you know. see who else I can get on here.
Hey, you crack addict, you're trying to get out on everyone?
Yeah. I am.
Okay, let me.
Anyway,
I'll try to get Comrade Kool-Aid on.
I'm gonna get Sean.
I can get Sean. Don't worry about
Oh,
me.
okay, yeah, that's right, you can. So many good comrades that are offline.
Don't
Sean
worry
is
about
not a
it.
comrade. Do never call him that.
Not Sean. Sean's online.
At least 30 Indian children died out.
Nice memes. These are memes we're talking about. Anyway, we have another topic on here, but intellectual property rights, which we're gonna wait for Sean on. But we also have the environment, which I'll focus on. So, 11 years. What are you guys gonna do with those 11
They keep
years?
saying 11 years. They keep saying 11
Kill
years.
myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
Wait, what's this about 11 years?
They keep
Oh,
saying
it's
11
predicted
years.
that in 11 years, by 2030, the damage we would have done to the Earth would be irreversible and a mass extinction event will occur, resulting in probably the human race being wiped out.
That's gonna be cool since the new race is gonna take over.
You know, here's what we need to do. We
Probably.
need to throw all our money at Elon Musk so we can put cars into orbit.
No.
No, we need cat girls. Come on.
Yeah, only if
Mhm.
Elon Musk could get things
Furry.
done.
Plastic in the ocean.
You know,
We need
or-
an
anime-
bar.
Or
Anime
maybe
boys
since
and-
companies will see it profitable to go green, they'll do that.
Yeah,
Well, it
because
probably
they
is
won't.
gonna go
They
green.
won't exist.
As individuals, of citizens of the United States. Shut up, Mason. I'm on a call.
It's been
No,
called.
I gotta leave this. All right. Literally, nothing we do as individuals of the United States will ever impact China or India, and they're the number one people who do it. So
It's not us, it's China.
What if we bomb them?
yeah, it is. Look at the stats. Look at the facts.
Yes, but who are the people? Can you mute yourself, please?
China's
Why?
the
Causing
best.
feedback.
Echo?
Yeah, you're causing feedback.
All right, one sec.
Okay, it's not me.
Your
Anyway,
feedback.
now, ow. Hit myself. Anyway, yeah, no, I think who are the people outsourcing or offshoring their companies to China?
That
and
doesn't
India?
matter. The plastic is 95% from Asia,
Cool.
and 50% of the emissions are from Asia.
Yeah, there's
So how do you
also.
propose-
I
how
mean,
do
there are a
you
lot of
propose
companies
we're
all
gonna
over
change
the
their
world.
economy.
We're very progressive in killing the earth.
Yeah, we are perhaps. They aren't. So how are we going to influence their economic choices?
I have an idea.
Well, it's the companies that are offshoring themselves to these places at sweatshop
said bomb them.
conditions. China's actually been trying to be more environmentally friendly. They stopped like coal or whatever. I forgot what it
Well, I'll
was.
tell you, but China is the one allowing these companies to go over to and create these sweatshops. China's not
Yeah, you
stopping
can't
them.
just not blame China. They're the ones.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
they're
that.
allowing it because they profit off of it.
I'm saying mainly that it's both sides, but I mean, I think since my leftist views, I'm probably going to focus more on companies and this kind of thing. But either one, they should just stop. It's stupid.
I have a better
Well,
idea.
I mean, they're making profits, so why would it be? It's not really stupid, is it?
Here's the thing. I have a better
That's
idea.
dirty
Let's just-
cash money.
like,
Okay.
I have a better idea.
Yeah, I have a big brain solution. Why don't we just delete China?
Exactly. Bomb them. This is what
Exactly.
I've been saying.
I'm thinking that's a good idea.
Turns them into a nuclear wasteland.
Why not?
Let China.
Then nuclear
I mean-
winter will happen. Then we're screwed.
Well, just bomb everything, and then we'll finally free Tibet.
Happen.
Yes. Are we all in agreement here about freedom?
We
of Tibet?
we can go out on our own.
Yeah,
terms.
let Tibet just let
Free
Tibet do
Tibet.
it at once.
I'm having a hard time understanding. Agreement of what?
Free Tibet.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Even as an Asian.
No, I think that corporations will be forced to go green because if they don't go green, then it's going to lead. They're going to lose a lot of money. So, and honestly, all the porky sees is money. So, that they'll have to listen to money.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's what reason why they're not going green, because of money. So if there's a motivation for them to go green because of money, like if they could profit off of that, they would. But
Yeah.
they're having
These
too
companies
much.
going.
I mean,
I'm saying like.
China in the
Wait,
past couple years compared to the United States, they're actually catching up to us economically, and it's because of these practices that we can't do here in the States because we have the regulations and they don't. So they're profiting way too much to really care. In my opinion, I mean, I that's just kind of how it is.
Weird.
Well, I do
Weird.
agree on that point. I do have to mention that China's economic growth is slowing.
On top of that, though, like
Yeah, but the big, I mean,
I'm not saying you're wrong on the point in which that
I know, but
they
I think
have no
it's relevant.
regulations and they're profiting off of it. It's just you have to keep in mind that they are still, even where they are now, slowing economically.
I hope they are, because I want America to stay number one economically. But I mean, that's a good thing. Perhaps because it's Trump's trade war. I mean, I don't know how that really turned out, but I mean, and if it is because of that, congrats. Anything to harm China economically is a plus.
Very.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, you can't win a trade war. Like, it's literally.
I don't know. I mean, our economy is at record highs right now. I mean, hate Trump or love him. I mean, it is facts.
Like, literally, yeah. And also talk about how these tariffs are hurting things like local farmers and things like that nature.
Awkward silence.
Allah.
In what ways?
Mostly just like because his tariffs make. Here's the thing about tariffs. Tariffs just make things more expensive, and like honestly, it's just not good. Just big government. Again.
No, I get that, but in what ways is it hurting the farmers?
Basically, by I think it was like tariffs on like stuff like iron and things of that nature, or steel or something like that.
I don't know. I think farmers are in a pretty good spot right now. Our economy is pretty high.
Farmers only.
You're looking at our GDP, of course. I'm assuming.
Well, the thing is, GDP is not the only economy.
Because I mean, there's a right-wing libertarian argument. People are just like, hey, look at Singapore. They have like a really good economy, and they have like the freest market in the world. When you actually go and look at the quality of life in these countries,
Mhm.
So I think basing your nation's wealth off of your GDP isn't a very reliable thing to do, unless you have other sources as well. Find some other people.
I think we should move on to a different thing.
Yeah, like
I'll go through the polls again. Prison system. How's that? What are you guys' opinions on it?
honestly,
6'9".
prisons are big gay.
Yeah. But of
Literally
course we're
big
gonna
gay,
agree.
Like, literally, it's a hive of sodomy. Literally big gay.
Ka-chow.
I think that the prison system could be reworked a lot. If no one else is gonna bring up a good argument.
Yeah, put less funding into it. There you go.
Reform it entirely would have been my suggestion, but yeah. Maybe even like abolish it to an extent, except there are people who like you can't
Abolish
fix.
imprisonment.
Abolish.
Abolish a lot of the crimes.
Then what's the incentive not to do?
I mean, abolish a lot of the crimes that we have, except for like the very violent ones like murder or rape or that kind of thing. Those people definitely need to be locked in a cage for a brief period or for a decent period of time. But like,
but instead of punishing them, you want to propose.
So what about that?
Rehabilitating them, which would cost way much more money.
Yeah.
Well, not in an anarcho-communist society where there is no money. So.
Well, some of them do have money.
Hello.
What are you gonna do for
But I hear echoes. I don't like this.
What are you gonna do?
Anyway,
Mark.
Yeah, we were talking about the prison system, which I think you made a video on.
Yeah, I made a few videos about the prison system.
Okay, so
Like,
Mark, if
sort
you're
of about,
gonna
like,
be... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I got a depth.
Okay, so Mark, if you're gonna be talking about only getting rid of all crimes except for the serious ones, what about for smaller things like theft? Is theft not a crime? Is stealing someone else's things not a crime?
Just blame it on the black people.
I'd say it is definitely a crime, but I think it could be
how big of a crime?
Differently than like. Well, it depends on the theft.
Yeah, what do you mean by theft?
Okay, so...
Yeah, that's also vague.
So if a person steals a piece of bread from a poor person, I mean, that isn't a big theft. So what should happen to them?
If somebody steals a piece of bread from a poor person, I think that's probably like the biggest theft that you could possibly commit.
Right, he stole bread.
What, $1 billion from a billionaire is it?
No, fuck a billionaire. I don't think they should have $1 billion in the first place. That's just a sign of a broken system.
That's so bad.
So if someone legitimately earns their right to be rich and they earn their way up, they should just have their money taken away from them. No, you can't.
Wait a second.
That's totally not.
Hold on. Nobody said that. But no,
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody can legitimately make $1 billion.
Well, you'd be wrong.
Would I be?
Who dis? Explain yourself.
This is someone else. I don't know.
What, me?
They said they were just gonna listen. No, this is fire. I think. Yeah.
National
Anyway,
socialism. Drivers.
that sounds disgusting. GI.
Don't worry, I
It's
smell
not.
it too.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, so I'm confused. What exactly is the question? I was asked to come here because there was a debate.
Yeah. We're just like doing other things. We have on our queue environment, prison system, intellectual property rights, and political unity, left unity, libertarian unity, etc. We kind of got through environment and political unity, but I still think it'd be cool to hear your stances on it.
On environmental unity?
No, but I mean like separately. What are your thoughts on what's happening to the environment right now? Supposedly in 11 years, this kind of ecological collapse thing is going to happen.
Yeah, that's basically where that's what I see is going to happen. Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be the start of a very big catastrophe where you could see anything from possibly civil wars to wars on water to all sorts of different things. Global economic change is like, probably the most important thing that could be happening to us right now.
Bro momentum.
Supposedly, a lot of companies, a lot of major corporations will see it very profitable to be considered green and to go environmentally safe, but will they actually do it?
Well, okay, so that's a really good question, right? What has more money invested in it right now? Not going green or going green? Because I would say most of the companies are getting the most funding for promoting petroleum products, oil products, basically the way that we're doing things right now. So if the money was there right now, I would say, oh yeah, then they definitely go in that direction. But the money has always flowed in the other direction. So eventually, yes, when it gets to the point where you got fucking tidal waves coming up on land, they're going to start, investing in that sort of thing. And actually, a lot of capitalist industries are investing in water walls that are going around oil rigs and shit like that out in the sea right now. So they're already investing in that. But as far as it like going green, like that corporations are somehow going to save us, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. If it happens, that's cool. If it doesn't happen, oh well. Good time to be a nihilist.
I
I don't think that you need to be a nihilist. You just have to be.
No, I'm just saying
I'm
just saying I am a nihilist, so I mean that happens to be the joke that I make.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think like if you're actually able to get out and like do things, get out and like take action, take things into your own hand. Don't wait for people to come and save you. That's that sort of thing. If you don't do that, then yeah, like.
Yeah,
but I would say, yeah, it's better to do direct action for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely say I agree with you. I mean, if you don't do anything yourself, I mean, then the other person can be like, "Oh, I'm not going to do it myself." Then continue on.
If we're contributing so much, why is it that all of the graphs show it all coming from Asia and other worlds? That we're not even contributing too much to the upcoming quote unquote apocalypse.
Infinity.
Fake news.
So that's an interesting question again, right? Why would that matter if all of the graphs are showing that we're contributing less than the other countries? Why would it matter if the graphs are still showing that we're heading towards that economic collapse? Wouldn't it be more important to do something rather than nothing, even if we're not the major contributor?
What would it result in, though? Nothing.
What?
Because all these little tiny things won't result in anything. We have no impact.
Oh, like you on an individual basis, like recycling straws?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Because if you're talking about that, yeah, that's a fucking liberal way to look at things. You're never going to first of all, you're never going to save the world by fucking recycling straws, and second of all, implementing a carbon tax isn't going to do a goddamn thing. All a tax does is ends up hurting working people and makes it harder for them to be able to get ahead, and inevitably doesn't fucking fix anything because, well, taxes are meant to be given to the government. The government does whatever the hell they want with tax money. So they can spend it on green energy if they want, but they probably won't. They'll probably use it to find their own
guns. Big guns.
There you go.
So what exactly can we even propose to influence other countries such as China and India and change their economic practices? Because honestly, I see practically, realistically, none. That's my issue.
That's up to the Chinese, and that's up to all the other countries, right? What you can do on a personal scale is what you can do on a like you can right now go to wherever there is a protest going on, and you can participate in that. You can get involved in direct action. You can lobby your fucking congressman if you want to. There are a lot of different ways that you can impact your immediate surroundings. As far as the global economic sphere goes, you can try to impact that as much as you want, but that's not something that you're necessarily going to be able to do on an individual basis.
Also, we can just try to encourage the people in those areas to revolt or something.
Yeah, exactly. You have to encourage them to do the same thing that you're being encouraged to do right now.
Tiananmen Square.
Nothing happened there.
That's what happens when they revolt in China.
Yeah, but it's not good praxis to look at it as though, oh, well, you know what, China is doing much worse than we are, so that means we should just do nothing. No, you should look at that and be like, okay, China's doing much more worse than we are. We should probably still do as much as we possibly can here on our individual basis. But as far as the Chinese are concerned, yeah, we can try to encourage them to change their ways as much as possible. And gearing wherever you are, the United States, Canada, Europe somewhere, if you're able to help gear your country towards doing something positive, then everybody else is going to follow suit. That's the way that an industry leader works. And as far as the world is concerned, the United States is the industry leader. At least for now.
And I guess the best course of action would be, hey, just maybe just like stop buying shit from these fucking fucking cunts who just create a bunch of sweatshops in China. So,
well, then we're justifying tariffs.
Well, no, I'm just saying we as the consumer just stop buying their shit.
Well,
I would agree with you on that, but the problem is that when
Chinese goods are super convenient.
Exactly. When you put the problem into the hands of the consumer, the people with the most money end up having the most votes, right? If you're saying like vote with your dollar, basically. So when you do things like don't like put a boycott onto a certain industry, say everybody boycotts Walmart, it's only going to last for so long before you need to buy a t-shirt at $5 because you can't afford to buy a t-shirt anywhere else. They kind of strangle you that way. So as
The
far as you're
dollar store.
concerned, like, yeah, you got to do direct action, right? Like boycotts are good sometimes, but they're not really going to help you in this. The best way to do anything is going out and actually doing direct action. If you guys watch my videos, watch like the praxis videos. They'll tell you how to do all kinds of shit.
Well,
Well,
I was just
hey,
saying that in
so-
addition to that.
Yeah. You can definitely do it in addition, sure, but like most of the time boycotts, they don't really what they do is they'll drum up attention to that fucking store. Like, oh, everybody's boycotting Nike because they said something about Colin Kaepernick, and then everybody goes and either buys Nike shoes or boycotts Nike shoes, and it perpetuates the problem. So,
Yeah, what happened to the Chick-fil-A boycott? It's just gotten. It's like it's had the opposite effect.
yeah.
Also, on top of that, though, honestly, it's hard to boycott Chick-fil-A though, because that shit's good, man. Like, fucking.
Yeah, if you have a product
Anyways.
that is widely needed and popular, where people enjoy to have that, then it is very hard to do like a full boycott of a particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
There's
no, I
also,
totally-
and there was
What?
also, or unless are we kind of pretty much done with this, or are we going to continue going on about like direct action and that kind of thing? Because I was going to also bring up the prison system, talk about that again. But
yeah, sure. What do you want to know?
well, I think I've already seen your video on it. I just think it'd be cool to have you like apply your ideas here. Because I can't paraphrase your video very good. No.
Oh,
but
okay. Sure, yeah.
But we
so
did kind of.
I actually, yeah, no worries. I actually just finished recording another video on the prison system because it's a hot topic right now. So basically, the way that I outlined it was, for the most part, people end up going to prison because of their socioeconomic status. People are majority nonviolent criminals, but they end up having to commit violent crimes because they either need to steal to get food, or they would work for a capitalist, but there's no capitalist businesses around, so they either have to have no food or no money at all, so they can't afford their rent, or they have to go into a legal business, selling drugs, prostitution, that sort of thing. Those paths inevitably lead down to, depression, drug abuse, and those sorts of issues. So then, and people that are addicted to drugs, again, they need to steal so they can support their habit. And basically, the entire prison system is created to enforce capitalist property rights. The people that are in there for reasons that are completely stupid or completely nonviolent for the most part. There are a few that are in there because of murders or rapes and what have you, but that's the incredible minority. And basically my argument was property is theft, and that capitalist property rights shouldn't exist in the first place, so there should be really no reason to have prisons, at least in the way that we have them currently. That's sort of paraphrasing.
You say that prisons are to enforce capitalist what?
Capitalist property law.
I think prisons are to punish wrongdoers of society.
What's a
That's what they
wrongdoer?
should be for.
No, that's pretty much what they're there for. So, I mean,
What's a wrongdoer?
Someone who breaks the law.
What's the law?
Wait, hold on. Can I take a
He's
swing at
talking
this?
like it's probably the wrongdoings are most likely murder, theft, rape, basically violence against another. Or
okay, and I would agree with you as far as murder and rape goes. Those are violent, but is theft violent?
It's against the law, and that's the point of the prison.
Okay, why is it against the law?
Okay, so
because when
if
people
everybody's stealing from each other, then violence crime is going to arise, whether you like it or not. Because, well, Joe over there stole my piece of bread last week, so I'm going to go stab him.
Right. So how often do you see people being locked up because of somebody stealing a piece of bread, like from each other? Is it more often that, or do you more often see people being locked up for stealing from a store?
From a store.
Yeah, they don't get locked up for a small little crime like that, but the justice system still takes care of them.
But they do get locked up for stealing from a store, right? You steal
that
that loaf of bread from you. If you go down the street and you steal that loaf of bread from your neighbor, are you going to get locked up for that? Likely, or is the copy isn't even going to show up? Or if you steal from a store, are you going to get caught by the security? Are you going to get held in custody? Are they going to strip search you? Or are they going to search you? Are they going to call the police? And is it going to end up on your record like it usually does? What's a more likely scenario?
It's up to the person.
The reason why they're not locked up is because it's not as big of a crime as the other thing.
Why is it not as big of a crime? Stealing from a poor person should be even bigger of a crime.
There's a difference between murder and stealing something. You don't think there should be a difference at all?
I never said anything about murder. I'm talking about different levels of theft.
Sorry for my late entrance here.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the prison system.
Oh, okay. Let's carry on. Catch up.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about murder. I'm talking about different levels of theft. If somebody steals a loaf of bread from their neighbor,
you're comparing that to violent crimes, and you're saying why aren't they in jail? So you sort of.
I never said anything about violent crime. I even left the caveat earlier saying that violent crimes will happen, like murder, like rape, and there's no reason why those things shouldn't be punished the way that they, in a justifiable way. But as far as non-violent crime goes, like theft, for the most part, why would we be locking people up for that? Or drug abuse. Isn't that a medical problem?
They won't do it again. Yeah. There's got to be a punishment so they know, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that again. I might get locked up again.
Oh, or just
we're gonna punish people because. Okay, so why are you punishing these people? Because they were born poor and they had to steal to survive?
That doesn't matter. They can build themselves up.
Why doesn't it? How does that not matter? Well, how do they build themselves up? How do they build themselves up? How do they build themselves up? You're homeless.
It's called capitalism. The beauty of capitalism. Anyone can go from.
Are you a capitalist?
Yeah, he's a capitalist conservative. I thought
you do realize that your system is falling apart at the moment. Every single bit of it is completely collapsing. It can't even withstand anything that's going on right now, and it's about to enter another economic collapse.
Well, socialism. It's shown to be much better.
Then what? Then anarcho-communism? Are you kidding me?
No, he's talking about socialism.
Anarcho-communism doesn't exist in the real world. You're going to cite one place that was anarcho-communist for a short amount of time that never lasted for very long.
I'm not even going to cite any place at all. I don't need to. I don't need to cite another place as an example for me to show you that there are better ways to do things. I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, putting somebody out on the street to die because they don't have enough money to afford a loaf of bread is barbaric. And if you think that that's a tenable way to use a system, then I'm sorry, but your moral compass is completely
backward. Poor people are there because they don't work hard enough.
That's not necessary.
Oh, so you think that and millionaires who sit on yachts 1,000 miles away enjoying margaritas and Mai Tais and golfing every single day and not working a day in their lives, you think that those people should be given everything in the world because they were born rich, because they're part of the lucky sperm club, they deserve to have everything, and because somebody is born poor, excuse me, I'm not done, and because somebody is born poor, they deserve to have everything fucking taken away from them, and they deserve to be out in jail? Explain yourself.
Just because someone's born poor doesn't mean they be poor for the rest of their lives. Yeah, that's the case a lot of the time, but it's not always the case, and when it's not the case, it's their fault.
Do you think that Bill Gates genuinely works harder than a nurse?
That's the stupidest comparison ever.
How is that a stupid comparison? Bill Gates makes hundreds of thousands of times more than every nurse.
Bill Gates founded Microsoft and created a huge company.
Does he still do labor?
And that nurse chose a different path in life.
She chose a different path. So because Bill Gates was already given the education to be able to come up with a great idea, because he was already born rich, you're saying that basically every nurse doesn't work nearly as hard as Bill Gates because he came up with one idea?
Sure, they work great. Yeah, they work awesome. They work very, very hard. And
okay, so who do you think? What do you think would happen tomorrow if Bill Gates stopped working? And what do you think would happen tomorrow if every nurse stopped working? What do you think would happen? Do you think that the world would be more impacted by Bill Gates stopping working?
I'm not arguing that she's not important at all. Yeah, she is, but not realistically. There's always going to be hierarchy, and some people are going to have to work jobs that pay less.
Sure, there is no reason why there shouldn't be a hierarchy. Sometimes that's necessary, but what we want is to flatten out the hierarchy and make it actually a meritocracy. So when people work harder and are more better at their job and have more knowledge and do a better job at their work, that they're promoted to positions of power and not people that just show up and do fucking nothing.
And that's what we have right now.
No, it is certainly not. When you're able to be born into money and everything is given to you on a silver platter, that's what you call being born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Inherited
wealth
Continue to be rich. Rich people can't have kids.
Excuse me. Sorry. Say that again.
So if you're born into a rich family, it's your fault, and you should go just give your money away.
No, if you're born into a rich family, first of all, I don't think that money should exist. But if you're born into a rich family, that is not your fault. Just like if you're born into a poor family, that's not your fault either. And you shouldn't be forced by the laws, because of the way that the laws are set up, to be put into prison because of your socioeconomic status. If you're too poor to afford bread, then there's no reason why you should go to jail for that. You should be given, as a human right, bread to survive and a house.
So what do you think you should do with the rich kid stuff?
What's
your plan? What's your plan for the kid that was born rich? What happens to them?
I think
right now, or what in what context are you talking? Like,
so like, okay,
if the revolution
in your perfect society, in your worldview, what happens to that person if like a switch was flipped and you could just do whatever you want with like their wealth?
Right. So, like, if we're talking about right now, and there's a kid that was born rich, and the revolution happened in 3 days from now, right?
Yeah.
So long as they had the access to their own personal house, their own personal belongings, everything like that, there is absolutely no problem. If there is a situation, though, where there's millions of homeless people sitting next to millions of empty houses, and some of those houses happen to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th, 12th, 20th, if you're talking about Tucker Carlson, 20th house that they happen to have as a vacation home, then some of those houses would be given to those homeless people, because there's no reason why there should be an empty vacant house and having somebody own 20 of them. But if there is enough houses to go wrong,
it's their property. They can do what they want.
Why? No, absolutely not. Why should we respect their property laws if
they paid for the property? It's their rightful legally.
No, absolutely not. That property should not be given to them because they happen to come along at some point with force of violence and steal it from the rest of us. There is no absolute tenable way.
Signing a contract is a force of violence. Jeez, dude.
Hey,
really
re-education. You mentioned meritocracy before, correct?
Yep.
So you said they get positions of power. Am I right?
Some can, yeah. Under anarcho-communism, you can have certain positions. So, like a military leader would have a position of power.
So what if So what if they had a kid? What
do you mean?
What if they had a kid and they died? Where would that kid go?
So, okay. So there's in a post-capitalist world, in an anarcho-communist world, there's no money, right? So if you have a position of power, you're not given a bunch more money. You're given incentives in many different ways. So instead of being granted a whole bunch of money that you could just give to your children, right, you would have a bunch of maybe social capital. So a lot of people would respect you and think that you did a good job at your job, and that's why you got elected to be the leader of whatever that organization was.
So if you're in a good family, you get a bunch of respect, more than the guy who was just born down the street.
That's not necessarily true, but it's not necessarily false either. It would really depend on the way that the commune was set up. So a lot of the way that anarcho-communists talk about raising children, I can hear a lot of my voice in an echo here. Does somebody have to like?
I think someone please. whoever's echoing, please turn on like push to talk.
That'd be great.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so-
It's not me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not me.
Continue.
Okay, so basically, the way that a lot of anarcho-communists talk about raising families isn't necessarily that the single family raises a child. The idea is that it takes a village to raise a family, basically. So it wouldn't just be the Johnsons who have the head of the household is so and so, and they occupy a position that's high up in whatever military organization or whatever. It would be kind of like not necessarily communal children, but the children would be raised a lot of the same way, like the way you would in an old farm town, where people would get together and mutually take care of each other. You actually see that all the time right now in places that, like in Vietnam and here actually too.
Yeah, you see it a lot in tribes in Africa.
Yeah, you see it a lot in.
Stupid argument.
Sorry, what?
I was saying that's.
But you're saying
the
the family is
They don't have any money there, barely any food. Bro, you should go there, man.
It could be partially due to the resources they have.
So you're saying
So you have no
family
arguments. So you're
units
saying
around.
just move to Africa? Is that the best that you got, or what? You have nothing to say against anything that I've said. You're just you don't know what you're talking about. Move to Africa.
I mean, the
He
whole
does
thing,
this
it
a
sounds
lot.
like
He does this a
really cool, like sci-fi movie. You know, like a science fiction book. It just sounds
It's a really it's a really science fiction pie in the sky weird way to do things. Having some sort of I don't know, syphilitic brained oligarch from 100 years ago come up with a system that's so riddled with loopholes and fucking ways around things that millionaires and billionaires are able to be created on average every single fucking year by the dozens, by the handfuls, and yet we have hundreds of thousands, millions even, of starving people, actually 3 billion starving people, let me be specific, and millions upon millions of homeless people in the United States sitting next to next to empty houses. So if you want to talk about some sort of crazy pie in the sky fantasy post-apocalyptic world, you've already entered it, my friend, and you for some reason are part of defense somehow defending this fucking system.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, I would die for the Constitution. It's unreplicated. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms.
You die for the
Constitution.
And how many of those? How many of those amendments are? How many loopholes are found in those amendments by every president we've had so far?
Well,
Yeah, the
I
Constitution
can
is
bring you
very
right now. Okay, so you're 100% for the Constitution, right? Hold on, you're for the Constitution, right?
Very much so.
Okay, what about the Patriot Act?
yeah, that's on constitution.
I don't support the Patriot Act.
You don't support the Patriot Act. Well, every other fucking American politician supports the Patriot Act. So it's
Okay, well, politicians are bought off. I don't. Just because I support the Constitution doesn't mean you have to support a bunch of corrupt politicians.
Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Okay,
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the phone.
put my 5 cents in here real quick?
Sure.
I'm gonna be a while.
In regards to stuff like the Constitution, it's like the thing is, like, I agree with Austin in the idea that the Constitution has provided a lot of cool things. But the problem is that states don't really care about a piece of paper. Like, they haven't cared about the piece of paper since the Civil War started. Honestly,
That's the point that I was trying to get at.
And that's a problem. The problem is with the politicians, the corrupt ones.
I looked up the most
Pretty much almost all of them.
stuff and I posted
Not the piece of paper
stuff
itself.
like vacuums, there's stuff like weight loss pills, infant formula, cigarettes. Like some of the stuff isn't food on this list. So there's other stuff that people are buying which are accessories and not essential.
I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, it's a quiet mic. Okay, he just left. Maybe he's fixing it, I don't know. Anyway. I totally... Oh, wait, he's back.
Oh.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
It's a little better? Okay. I'm just saying, like, I looked at the shoplifting items and most of them are not food. Some of them are actually accessories. So designer denim and weight loss pills and cigarettes are not essential.
They're actually more harmful. If you're looking at it that way. I mean,
I don't know, but do these people know that they're harmful? Is the question. Is the
Of
question
course
I'm
they do.
asking?
yeah, they do.
They're
but
they're just
they
addicted
don't-
to it.
They don't care.
Okay,
you
that's,
ever-
in the case of cigarettes, yeah, but
Hey, Mark, they're in a situation in where they're thinking, well, my life's already fucked up enough. Why should I care about whether I die of cancer or not?
it's fair, I guess.
If they could quit, they would. But
Yeah, and I'm thinking that's like,
They have no incentive to.
I mean, we have a lot of rehab places. Again, like a lot of the crimes, like I'm thinking mainly drug-related crimes. Like I would rather not arrest someone for doing meth or for being caught possessing meth. I think they should be rehabilitated because that's a
Well,
medical problem. That's not like
okay, here's my one caveat with that. Drug distribution should be
That's exactly what I was about to say.
not drug abuse, because I mean, if
Yeah,
you
okay,
do that
that's-
yourself, you're not affecting anyone. But once you start distributing it, that's where your problems are rising.
Yeah, and how would you be able to tell what the difference between distribution and a consumer of that drug?
Well, an investigation.
If you were to one,
Well, Odson, how do you plan to legislate all that? I mean, how do you plan to enforce that, really? I mean, we can't do it now, and we have tough laws. We have entire agencies dedicated to this. So, what's your plan? You're just gonna make it magically happen with law? Or what's going on?
what's the plan to what? Illegalize drug?
Yeah, well, they're already illegal, so what are you gonna do to actually fix it? Like, what's your plan?
Exactly what we're doing now.
And how is that working?
Not well, but I mean, it's better than just making it completely legal, in my opinion.
Not necessarily. It's been shown to reduce drug use.
My
And
more
you're also giving power to criminals.
And I'm not talking about like small things like marijuana. I'm talking about hard drugs.
Oh, I know you're talking about that. Yeah.
Hey, can I just also throw my 5 cents in here too? The reason I would say that's not a good way of going about things is similar to why I would say that gun control fails as well. It's because like
God, yes.
banning something doesn't stop people from using it. So
Yeah, I'd agree.
One way to approach it, from my opinion, is that you legalize more minor drugs. Because if you look how drug addicts work, they start out with minor drugs, and whatnot, and then they move up to major drugs. If you cut off at, I mean, but they do it for the spike in adrenaline. I mean,
And I mean, if both of them are illegal, then they're gonna find them the same. And if the smaller drugs, as you put it, were more easily accessible, then there's gonna be a vast less likelihood of them moving to the harder one, though it is illegal and it will be harder to get.
I would actually argue the other way, because if more smaller drugs are accessible, it would accelerate the process of going up higher, because they want a new high. They're going to get tired of marijuana, so they'll move on, and then they'll get tired of that, and they'll move on and on. If you make it harder to access the starter drugs, you're making it harder to access all the other ones.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know
quote my health
if making laws on any
Sorry,
drug
Lila,
is going
I see
to.
you go to dinner.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know if making laws on any drugs is going to help anything. Like we already tried to do that with prohibition, and I don't think that worked at all. And making laws to make so I think every drug should be legal. Personally,
I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, our own government
and then we'll know what's
funds
put in it. for a while.
cartels, and they have in the past. It's not a conspiracy.
The Philippines did have a solution with drugs with law.
so
I'm not arguing to increase money on, like, a drug war, because that's proven to be ineffective. But I personally don't support an all-out gun illegalization. I think it's counterproductive to.
So then what's your plan? Like, what's going to happen? Because that's not really doing anything.
I think certain smaller drugs such as marijuana should be legalized. I don't think that serves a problem. There's no point in criminalizing those users, they're not really committing that big of a crime. Doesn't really matter. I agree with that point. I mean, it's not that big a deal. But I think when it comes to other things, I mean, I think it's harmful to society as a whole.
Yeah, but who are you to decide that?
A member of society? What?
Yes, you're one person, but who are you to decide?
Who are you to decide?
I'm actually not
But
deciding.
also, where do you draw the line, though? Where do you draw that line between the lighter drugs and the heavier drugs, right? Like marijuana is fairly light because it's like kind of natural and it doesn't fuck you up too much. But I mean, like microdosing mushrooms doesn't really fuck you up all that much. Taking a couple of Tylenols doesn't really fuck you up all that much. But if you take a couple of T4s, you're fucked. Or if you like drop a bunch of acid, you might be fucked. It really depends on the person. So where do you draw the line?
I'll step in about the acid thing. If you know what you're doing, like if you really know what you're doing, it's not as dangerous as a lot of people would say. But that's unrelated to the debate, so let's
you still don't have that much control over it.
Yeah, you still don't.
Also,
but depends
I think
on
there's a better way we can go about doing this. Build our laws around the idea of no victim, no crime. It's the only ethically consistent way to make laws.
Yeah. If they don't hurt anybody, then they don't hurt anybody, and they don't be convicted. There.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is you're never going to stop people from doing things that you don't want them to do. That's a fact. I mean, you just can't. So either you create a massive police state and to stop people, or you legalize it. There's no in between, because in between is ineffective. Either way, you're not accomplishing anything at all.
The only way to really stop crime is through culture, not through state. I mean, look at Japan. They have a big cultural incentive against crime. I mean,
you're not necessarily wrong on that. I mean, like every time you want to see any kind of impact in the legal system, if you just simply look at, well, for the majority, where are the most crimes being perpetrated, right? They're being perpetrated by, well, like I said before, people in lower socioeconomic status. That's not just because they have to do that because they need food. It's also because they don't have the education system that people in a higher economic status would. So if you're giving everybody the same education on all of this stuff, then they're likely not going to be committing as many crimes. They're likely not going to be getting addicted to drugs, and you're going to reduce all kinds of shit like that.
How good of a education system can you give to 360 million people?
Pretty good one if you just do it individually, right? Like you have hundreds of people.
Educate.
Well, you have a bunch of teachers inside of your whatever district, area, city, province, country, municipality, whatever, right? People are going to want to have those teaching jobs.
What advocates people to be teachers?
Wait, I'm confused. Are you asking me again about anarcho-communism?
No, not anarcho-communism, but just as a normal question. What do you think makes teachers want to work or be a teacher?
Oh, I think that incentivizing teachers should be like a very important thing to do. Like right now, teachers are, well, personally, I think that they should have access to all of the things that anybody that's doing an incredibly difficult or dangerous job should be provided, right? So in anarcho-communism, since we don't deal with money, we deal with like goods or different sorts of things like that. One possible solution is that people that have to do.
You still have a currency? You still have something to trade? So what's the point of getting rid of currency?
Well, no. There is no currency. I'm talking about when you're in an anarcho-communist structured society, you don't have money, right? But you do have things like social capital, being popular, or you do have things like whatever. Maybe the community gets together and says that everybody that has to shovel shit or work construction jobs or teach children gets to have a nicer house or access to a haircut before anybody else does. Whatever it just happens to be. It is just not, you just don't base it on monetary value. There's no reason for it. It's arbitrary.
Or there's labor vouchers,
why
right?
would you use money? Here's a better question. Why would you use money?
I mean,
I would say as a measure of resources and how much you can trade. But of course, that is severely affected if you have something like a central banking system, like the Federal Reserve, be artificially changed.
Hey,
Well,
I might be an ANCOM too, though, but I think I can play devil's advocate when it comes to money. Money was invented to eliminate the tragedy of common interest. So, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, what would you say to that, Deadhead? Or re-education,
basically,
or whatever you want me to call you.
whatever the fuck my name is now. So basically, money, right, is an arbitrary value that we put onto goods that is determined by how much somebody needs something at the time, right? So it basically, the way that you have the capitalist structure set up is that if people are in super desperate need of a certain commodity, and that commodity is in short supply, then the price of that commodity goes up. I made an example of this in another video where you can do a similar thing with diamonds, right? You make the supply of diamonds severely limited, increasing the demand of diamonds, and then you're able to sell them for a much higher price.
Is this
And that's the problem with. Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, and that's the problem with using things in a capitalist society.
All right,
Actually-
okay, my bad. No, keep talking.
I actually have to go do something, so I'll end the recording, but you guys can continue debating. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching this, and we're hopefully gonna have a debate next week. Anyway,
No, thank you.
well, you don't have to. You shut up. Okay.
Anybody who
now that
doesn't
we have
like
a lot
this
more
video
people,
is
I think
super
we'll have a
gay.
lot more viewpoints for this kind of thing. Anyway, goodbye, internet, whatever. I don't.